Hello, Janet Gowan welcoming you to Love Letters Live. And today's guest, as you can see, is sipping tea out of her love cup, is Roslyn Kind, who is named so aptly. Roslyn, you are one of the kindest, dearest women on earth. Why
Oh,
don't you
thank
say,
you
why
very
don't
much.
you say hello first?
Hi, everybody. This is Roslyn Kind, and I'm visiting with Janet Galen today on Love Letters.
Yes, isn't this wonderful? And I've been struck by
Mhm.
the reality that we had in person long ago a couple of lunches together where a friendship started, but it's amazing and delightful to me how good a friendship can become online, on Zoom, on FaceTime, because it's what we have. And it's like when we used to have pen pals.
Penpals. I was just going to say to you, because last night Julie and Julia was on again. And
Oh
remember when she was writing to that other woman, the Penpals, and she and the French lady
yeah,
come back to America to meet with her. She says, "You mean you've never met her?" "No, we've been pen pals."
but it's amazing how much you can
Right?
share in letters, and
Exactly.
sometimes even more because you're not looking at the other person and seeing any judgmental. Did you have
Right.
pen pals growing up when you were a little girl?
No, no, I
I
did.
did.
I was really much more. I was very much more of an introvert when I was young, and I was more of a loner. I had friends that I could count on my hands, and you had like kids at school or whatever. But I was never extroverted. I was never had to be the life of the party or anything.
But you
You
still don't need to be the life of the party.
know? No, I
That
don't.
was the first thing I noticed about you because it was at a huge award ceremony that we sat next to each other, and people were, marching and posturing, and you didn't. You had no need to put yourself in the center of the universe. How
No, I
lovely.
think that I've always been like when I'm on stage and I'm performing and I want to share my message of love and light.
We're going to get to all this.
Then I'll take center stage. But I
Yes,
really don't need to do that in the
I
rest of my
know.
life. I mean, I used to run into people in my building, and there was a hairdressing uh, shop down below when I lived in New Jersey. And I used to go down there to do my laundry with a schmata on my head. And he would say, "Oh my God." I said, "What's the matter? I do my own wash." I do
Oh, you know what? It's part of the heavenly part about you is that you are such a real human being with no pretensions. But let's get to what you don't have to be pretentious about because it's so real, which is your talent. Can we start back far in your family, if you don't mind? Because I have a question.
Well, as far as I can go, as far as I can remember,
Well,
some of the
okay,
things I don't remember daily, but if you bring them out,
I'm going to bring them
I'll
out.
try.
Because I
Okay.
read that your
Yeah.
grandfather was a cantor.
In Russia. Yes,
Ah,
before
so
they emigrated here.
did you know him?
No, I was a baby when my grandpa died. I
Oh,
knew my grandma more. She was still here, but I have pictures of my grandfather holding me
oh,
as a
okay.
baby.
The reason
But
I'm asking,
I was a late in life child.
is that
My
right?
father was 57 when I was born. My mother was 41.
Wow, that was a lot
So
then.
yeah, so I'm like a late in life. When my mom passed, she was 93.
Wow.
And I used to, in my shows, I used to talk about getting everybody to sing. I used to get them to sing Hallelujah, the Jewish Hallelujah. And I said, because singing gives you life. It makes you
Yes,
live longer.
yes.
It brings happiness and health. And they couldn't believe that my mother was, when I said my mother was 93, they looked at me, how old are you really? And I said, it's none of your business.
That's right. It's none of their business. But my mother used to, and she told me to do this. My mother always used to add 2 or 3 years to her age when people would ask how old she was.
Uh-huh.
And she would say to me, add a couple of years, it'll make you look even
You look
better.
better,
Uh,
right?
right. I mean, I can't do that, but the reason I'm asking, well, so you said you were a late in life child. How many siblings do you have? One?
Two.
Oh, you do? Oh, you have a
I
brother too.
have two. Yeah, my sister and my brother.
Okay.
You have to realize my parents, my siblings, Shelley and Barbara, are from the same mother, and we grew up together.
Yes.
Well, they were more grown up than I was when I
Right,
came
right.
into it. And then my father was previously married, and he had some children, and I'd never met them for a long time. And then I finally got friendly with his eldest, who was older than my older brother, Shelley, who was the oldest. He's like the patriarch of the family. And and he recently passed away. but once I met him, I remember singing in Chicago because they lived on the outskirts of Chicago, and I spent the high holy days with them, and they came to see me perform.
Oh,
That was like
nice.
in the 70s when I first got to know him. So we kept kind of a relationship. He was a kind, but I was grown up with my sister Barbara and my brother Shelley.
Okay, so the reason I was asking about
Yeah.
did you ever know your grandfather, the cantor, doesn't
Mhm.
matter whether you knew him or not, because I'm always interested in what gets passed down genetically.
Mhm.
And you have such a strong spiritual core
Yes.
that I don't know. I mean, you think that came some,
You think that's from the
I've known a
heredity?
couple of cantors who were
Yeah.
so clearly the spiritual leaders of the congregation. You
Yeah.
knew they were talking to God.
Yeah. Well, I get drawn closely to even my previous rabbi who now moved to Louisiana. And I used to have great conversations with him, even about psychic phenomena.
Yes.
You
Oh,
know,
oh, we could get to
he and he converted the man I was going to marry. And it was not such a hard thing because he was so Jewish. He was around so many Jews in the industry that he already felt Jewish, although he was a
that.
Jack Mormon.
Ah,
So, but yeah, my rabbi converted him, and I love my rabbi because he was today. You can live in the past and bring that history with you, but you must come into today's
yes,
living.
yes,
Things have changed.
yes,
Things have advanced, and you have to recognize
yes.
those
I'm lucky enough to have some
things.
very Orthodox friends, Orthodox Jewish friends,
Yeah,
who live every part of their life by what was written a gajillion years ago.
right.
And they are totally modern
Uh-huh.
people in their not, in their attitudes and in what they accept. So
Hmm.
when did you first realize you could sing? I'm always interested in that because
Hmm.
when does a person such as yourself first open her mouth and that can come out? I mean, I open my mouth and that can't come out.
When I was a little girl, I used to sing. Well, remember Howdy Doody and
Yes, it's how they
Davy
it's how,
Crockett?
yes,
I used to sing, Born on a Mountaintop in Tennessee when I was a kid. I used to sing, and the songs in my early years in Hebrew school and everything, like Zum Gali 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 Zum Gali Gali Zum Echalutz Leman Avodah Avodah Leman Echalutz. Those were
lovely.
the first things I learned. And then when I was growing up into my teen years, it was like Motown and the English invasion.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
really my time. And I got the appreciation for the more American singers because my sister, who was older than I, brought those into the house. So I had an early appreciation for Johnny Mathis and Lena
Oh,
Horne, and that opened me up to that area of the singing, aside from my childhood and my own teenage years, where I always carried the transistor radio, and you listen
of
in New
course.
York, Dandy Dan Daniels, the top 100 at
We
4
didn't
o'clock.
get that. That was in New York.
Yeah.
We didn't get that. Yes, but we had ours. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but so you knew, but also you knew because you had an older sister who could sing. It wasn't
right.
such a far cry. Did your
And
mother
but
sing?
our mother sang. That's where my grandfather's daughter, she was one of three children, my mother, four children, four. She sang and she used to sing around the house. So I don't know how we all, it was
So
just,
it was natural.
yeah, it just kind of happened.
So what was your very first professional performance?
Professional performance, tryout
Hey, never
performance.
mind, then just performance, even on your dining room table. I don't.
Oh my God, in school. I mean, I remember singing where they would give me a solo or I sang, and I
Oh,
was very
okay.
shy as a kid. It was very hard. When I was 14 and I was overweight at the time, and I went through a childhood where kids made fun of me, calling me fatso and all this.
Oh,
I
so
went through that. So,
awful.
I understand what people go through.
Right.
Um, and it was very hard. It was very hard. But there was a time when I got very friendly with an aunt who was related through marriage. She wasn't bloodline. And she took me under her wing, and she was in her 70s when I was 14, and took me to a diet doctor. And
That was helpful.
I lost weight. It was not the way to do it for a kid, but it was great for me. And then I got off of that, and I kept still fighting weight for years. But the point was, is that I never didn't want to come out of the bathroom to originally meet her because I was so shy. And when
Oh,
they would say to me about singing later on, oh, she'll never go into the business. She's too shy. She'll never go.
wait, who said that?
My aunt that
Oh,
took
she's
me
the one
under
who
her
said that.
wing, she rest in
Ah.
peace.
But so what happens then when you're on stage and you're not shy? Because then you're in a different um universe
Well,
somehow.
you know what brought me out of my shyness actually during a period also when I wasn't, when it got slow and I wasn't working enough and I took a job at a movie studio and I was dealing with people. I was a purchasing agent and a secretary, and I had to deal one-on-one with people because on stage, it's very different.
Right.
And that brought me out of myself. And I sang for their Christmas party, and my boss
Right.
fired me because he said, "Get the heck out of here. You don't belong here. Go sing."
Good. Okay.
Is what he said to me.
So were you plagued with stage fright?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was always nervous. I was always nervous. And I still to this day yawn before I go on stage, which somebody
Yeah,
said to me,
so
that's
funny.
nerves coming out, right?
Because I've always had
But
a thought about stage fright. And having
yeah,
done
I was
very
always
little, I think it's an acknowledgement of the enormous responsibility you
ability. Yeah.
have towards those people sitting out there once you get up on that
You
stage.
don't want to fail. You don't
You,
want to fail. And,
you owe them. You owe them.
and what the difference is I couldn't control my adrenaline in the beginning. Now I control it. And now I go on repeating affirmations that I can touch people's hearts and bring them to open their hearts and come together. And that, dear God, whoever needs to hear your message of love and light, please let the message go to those people in particular.
That
Whoever
that was
they
that
need.
was the first thing I learned about you when we had lunch at Marmalade, and I was so touched by what you want to do with your music, and it's not anything you're trying to do to augment yourself.
No, I came to this finding in the 80s when my career was going up and down and side to side. And, I started out with a big bang because I was related to my sister. I was even offered to do the Olympia in Paris. And I
Wow.
was like, I can't do this. First of all, I think they want to bring in Barbara Streisand's sister, not Roslyn Kind. And
No.
I could not take something I didn't feel that I wasn't ready for. I was not going to exploit that. I had to be ready. It had to be on my own merit,
Of course.
So
You've
I
got so
turned
many of them. Yeah.
right. I mean, I had my debut on the Ed Sullivan show, granted, and it was after I just finished my first album, and which I started recording my graduation day in high
Wait a minute,
school.
hold your horses. What what year was that? And can we find it on YouTube?
I think you can find the old Ed Sullivans. I have some of them. I have a few of them on tape. I have to have them transferred.
Oh, that must be so
But
much
the
fun to
date
listen.
of the Ed Sullivan, I'll tell you, it was I graduated. When did I graduate? 1968
Mhm.
in June, and that day, whatever that date was, 9 to whatever, I was in graduation. 12 noon, I was at RCA Studio B, starting my first album.
That's great.
And I debuted the album February 9th, 1969 on the Ed Sullivan Show during the major snowstorm.
Wow.
So people were stuck at home. People were also stuck in the subway. And I had to walk to the Ed Sullivan Theater. Thank God my mother and I had moved to 57th Street between 8th and 9th. So I only had to walk to 52nd and Broadway. I had to walk in the snow. There were no cabs, no nothing. And it was quite an experience, and looking in the camera for the first time when I didn't know quite where to look. Do I look at the light? Do I look in the lens? Where do I look? I was somewhat nervous.
I can
I'm
imagine so.
okay.
But you also understand your responsibility
Yes.
when you how did you realize, and I know a little tiny bit about music as therapy and what it can do. I mean,
Mhm.
I think we all know for ourselves when we hear a certain piece of music what it can do to us.
Right.
I had a friend of mine who's a pianist was over, and he sat down at the piano and he just started to play a little Schubert bit. I burst
Right.
into tears. And
Oh.
he said, "Well, don't cry." I said, "There's nothing I can do." It is the most
Yeah.
powerful.
It reaches worldwide, globally. It goes past language barriers.
Doesn't
Music
know.
is unbelievable healing.
So what's
Unbelievable.
the first really healing thing you did with music, if you can remember it?
With my music. I was like, I kind of, It was in 1984 that I had my metamorphosis, because my own search for my own reason for being here. Like I was saying, I was up, down, sideways. I had a
Okay.
marriage that failed. I didn't think it would because I didn't get married till I was 32. My
Mhm.
husband was younger. He didn't look younger, but he was younger. And I tried my best to make it work, but sometimes you just probably should have stayed friends, you
Sure,
know.
sure.
And with all of that around me and still trying to get ahead, I had questions. I was on the road. I started reading a lot. I had friends who were into the new millennium and psychic phenomena and the reasons for being. And I started reading all of these books on, you know, and really starting to ask,
And
why
this was
am I
in
here?
the
Dear
80s?
God, give me a reason. Why
In the,
am I here?
in the 80s?
1984.
Oh, that exact. Okay. And what was the answer you got while you're here?
Well, I was also regressed and I really got my answer
Okay.
during my regression after all of that searching. And I went back to a lifetime. I believe it was Lemuria, which was the West Coast Atlantis. I was a boy. I had a turban. I had white pantaloons, sandals. I lived in a stone hut. And I was in a duel over a woman. There were two of us that loved her. And I have to tell you, when she sent me back, that was the only life I came to. I didn't see my birth canal. I didn't see anything. I just went to this one lifetime. And I remember saying, oh my God, I'm a boy, I'm a man. I
And it
couldn't,
was it
like,
wasn't scary or anything.
no, I was, you know, I was like just feeling it out. And I was like, what's going on here? And we are fighting and she accidentally got injured. She was killed.
Wait, who was killed?
The love interest
Oh,
of
the
the
girl
both
that you
of us.
both
She
like.
accidentally
Oh, I see.
got,
Okay,
got,
yes, okay.
yeah, the two of us survived. She got killed. And so I have been spending all of my lifetimes looking for that one love. That's what
Oh,
that came
I'm
to.
so
Now,
chills.
in my word associations after that, still under, came world, harmony, peace, love, global, and you know, it was just, and the realization, I am here to bring together. I am a healer. She said, my God, you're a healer.
I could see
And
that. And also you said it, I mean, when you said, you go on stage and I forget how you put it, you can correct me and do it better, but
yeah,
it was, for those of you who need light and healing,
love and light, your
love and
message of
light,
love and light.
here I am. I mean,
No,
how do you let them know?
no, it's not me, it's God. It's the universe
No,
that's
no, I
working
understand
through
that,
me.
but
Yeah.
as the vehicle, as the
The
conduit,
vessel, the conduit.
the
Yes.
vessel. Okay, so how do you say when you go on stage, when you do say that? It's so nice.
Well, I start blessing everybody, everything, blessing the night and blessing that God lets everything go right. And if there's anybody, you know, blessing my family. And if there's anybody in that audience, please, dear God, who needs your message of love and light, please let it reach them.
That's like a part in services, synagogue services, where
Well,
you
I get very touched in services. I cry, especially at the high holy days. Oh my God, I feel such a connection. But you know, I was also raised, I had to go to yeshiva.
did
My
you?
father was very much into the religion. I had to know my roots. And even when I left yeshiva and had to go to public school, I still went to religious release time and I went to Hebrew school at my temple. I was very much, and I mean, I love the minor chords in Jewish music. Everybody's saying to me, you got to make a Jewish album.
Oh, well, then I'm not going to say it. Never mind.
You
Because
know?
because it did occur to me, because now I'm guessing I should never assume anything, but that you may have a little extra time now in your
Okay.
world because of the pandemic has shut off certain performance
Right,
venues.
right.
Do you
I
think
have been
that
working on I've been working on my new collection of music, which one I put out, Save the Country, in 2018, just before we went into 2019. And I followed it with my song Light of Love, which are both on YouTube. They're both up there.
yes, I've
And,
heard that. Yeah.
and it's, you know, and Light of Love is one I wrote along with Michael Orland and Judy Quay. It was from my experience in 1987 climbing Bell Rock during the harmonic convergence.
Wow.
That was one of the messages I received, that I needed to be part of that experience. I had to experience that. And And that experience is why I wrote Light of Love. And we wrote that in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And I've done it in shows, but this is the first time I did a full recording of it.
So when will that be
That's
available?
out
I mean,
there.
how's it going? The recording?
Well, it's out there. I keep trying to push it. If anybody, needs to be pushed. It's out there. It's on the internet. It's on YouTube. The video that goes with it's on YouTube. It's
Okay.
out there across the boards digitally because I'm working towards a hardcover. I'm putting just singles out now.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because nobody's really doing much vinyl anymore. I mean, you're not getting an LP.
Although some
No.
people are bringing vinyl back.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that. But
Yeah.
my daughter is a singer and has a band, and they just came out with their third, and they did a vinyl, a great big, but kind of on request. It's not what people really, so people can download your song.
Yes, they can download
That's
it.
what I'm asking.
Yes, they can play it. They can hear it on Spotify. I have a page. Yes. And I'm coming out with my next song, which is also about the world. I'm putting off, I have some songs from my show that are one-on-one love, but I felt that these were the most necessitated at this time in space.
At this time, I know this is such a weird time. I read something, I know, and two things. One is, I mean, I listen to the language that people are using today, and I must say, I mean, mine isn't always so great either, but my mother, when she used to drop a little F-bomb, she would say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, excuse me."
No, it's funny because sometimes that's how I show my anger, and my brother reprimands me. Roslyn.
Yeah, well, because it's a way of just
because that's not me. It's like even my friends, like I was speaking to David earlier. Oh my God, I love hearing you like this because we're feeling so much more positive this last few days.
Right.
About things because the world must come together. I mean, we must come together. We must learn to love each other, accept each other, and work together.
Yes.
So I mean, if that would happen, if hatred was eliminated and we could work together, we could have heaven right here on earth. We don't have to wait till we pass on.
I know.
And I would love that to happen. But it's like it's a hard thing to do. But I keep asking God to send in the angels of light.
Well, keep asking. But so what occurred to me some time ago is I was listening to my own daughters use language that I wanted to say, I'm going to I think it's time for me to wash your mouth out with hope.
With hope, that's good.
That's my new thing. Go wash your mouth out with hope. Things can be better. So I was reading, sometimes you look for just the right phrase to explain how you're feeling, and it's such a relief when you do, right?
Oh, yes.
When you find that. So I'm reading something by Bill Bryson, who I think he's one of the funniest people alive. And he was talking about how people in different countries do things differently, and certain things that they just don't get the same way we do. And one of them, I think, was the English standing in line. And they were standing in line like for a bus, and the minute the bus door opens, they just all run. Like, what's the purpose of standing up? And he referred to this as, he said it was like a fire drill in a lunatic asylum.
Oh, God.
I couldn't stop laughing. I couldn't stop. And it was like the perfect description of what we've been going through now.
Yeah, really.
But you're right. I mean, I think that if we could love
each other. Like, what was that? What was that? That dish my mother made that was so wonderful for some reason. Simmis.
Oh, yes.
It's become like a wild simmis. Everybody, although simmis tastes good. It really
right.
is.
But it's that
people do it. It's not so wonderful unless it's coming together in a mixture of harmony and hope and faith and love.
That's right. And I think, what do you think? I mean, beyond it's one thing to say if we could all love each other. I think it takes a little doing.
It's not going to be easy. It's not easy. People have different takes on life. Look how everybody looks differently at the election. I mean, how do we bring this together? And I'm praying. I know we said we would stay off of politics, but I'm praying.
It's hard, isn't it?
That Joe will be the one that's it, because that's his message. It's not division.
His speech was wonderful, but
oh my God, it was brilliant.
It doesn't take such I don't know if you've had this experience, living in San Francisco, and I walk maybe a little more than people in LA do, and because I grew up there, so I'm familiar with.
I used to walk a lot in New York.
Oh, of course you did. And I would be walking past some or coming to some elderly person,
Right.
um, elderly, probably younger than I am, but that's not the point. And with, just this look and scary, just a scary look. And I have bothered to smile and say hello
Hmm.
and seen it just drip away.
Yeah.
You have to take a minute to see what you can find. I had an experience once. Oh, I had gone to a dance rehearsal in a
Uh,
neighborhood that wasn't so great, and I had gotten my car and I pulled out, and I just about creamed somebody, the car coming up next. He looked at me with such hatred, and he looked like he could have had a machine gun in the car.
thank God.
And I I was horrified. My fault. And I zoomed up and I caught him at the stoplight. And I said, "Roll down your window." And he did. And I said, "I just want to apologize." I said, "I am so sorry. That was awful what I did. I know I terrified. I am so
Yeah.
sorry." He smiled, turned into Cary Grant,
Uh-huh.
and he said, "Oh, that's okay. Well, it
You
wasn't."
know what? It's instead of coming at somebody accusatory
Yeah.
and to be
Well,
able to apologize or be, nice about it,
right.
makes a change in the whole demeanor of the presentation.
Apologies are a huge, elegant
Right?
part of life.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you because I am kind of largely out love letter. Do you write letters to people anymore?
Not so much. You
You
know
must
what?
get
And
some.
yet I remember I'm much more better with the spoken word.
Sure,
Look one at one in people's eyes. That's my forte.
sure.
Um, that's where I have the most connection.
Right.
I
On
don't
the
mind
other,
writing, but you know what it is? It's not even handwriting anymore. It's being able to text, and I hate
okay, so
texting.
that's what I'm talking about. People say all the
Yeah.
time, "Oh, I wish I had a magic wand." Hello, you do. You got one as good as
Right.
the one that Glinda, the good witch, carried around, because you can change people's lives. You can make such a difference. But when you write music,
Right. But we write the lyrics for the song, Light of
right.
Love.
So do you
Yeah.
ever write them out by hand?
We write them as we go along. It was like Judy and I worked on, it's the first song I ever wrote. I haven't written another one since, but I have such belief in that song and the come out how it can bring people together and to look at life. And we just, we actually met several times during at someone's house or with the piano. We would order Chinese food and, and we would get the fortune cookies. And one time we ordered fortune cookies and every one of them with the same fortune. So we
Oh,
got to
wow.
the Chinese restaurant and said, "You got to give us more fortune cookies. These all have the same fortunes in it." And they brought them back. But with a delight, we wrote it, with love in our hearts. And Judy
There,
and I did the lyrics, and Michael Orland did the music, and we just.
there is something about handwriting
Mhm.
that is, I just think, totally delicious.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And
I
also,
take my time. When I want to put things down in writing, it doesn't come easy to me because I want it to be so perfectly stated that I don't make it easy on myself. You
oh,
know,
but you
over anything I even post, I kind of want it to be
sure.
so say the right thing in the right way. Even if it's my anger, but basically in the right way.
Oh, especially if it's your anger.
Yeah,
Because I think it was what Ruth Bader Ginsburg who said, object, and I forget what it is, but rebel, but do it in a way that will make others want to join you.
exactly. Exactly. And that's what I feel I do one-on-one, which comes out of my mouth like this. But when I write it down, I have to make sure it's
Well,
what
that's fair enough,
say.
even like a good letter
Yeah.
is not just a matter of passion, it's passion and planning.
Yeah. My mother used to write great letters. She used to write us all letters to
Oh, okay, that
express her
counts. So
feelings.
you have them in your life. Do you still have them?
I think my sister got some. I actually have the Bible my mother gave me when I left New York to move here. She still signed it mother, not mom, but mother.
Oh, okay, so you have
Yeah.
handwriting in
Oh
your
yeah, my mother used to write that all the time.
okay. What about recipes?
No, I just read the book.
Right. My mother used to say to people who would say, I can't cook, she would say, "If you can read, you can cook."
Yeah.
You know?
So
Simple.
now I have some from a nutritionist, Sally Kravitz, who I have all her great soup recipes for anti-inflammatories are during this time, to cleanse the system and stay healthy.
Are you big on making soups?
I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better. My mother used to make, oh my God, my mother
Mine
used to make
too.
such soup, but she never had recipes. She never wrote them down.
I know.
And they was always chunky.
The
The best
rind.
you needed a fork
Yeah.
to eat these things with. I mean, she made great sweet and sour cabbage and her vegetable soups with the barley and everything. And she made, oh my, tsimis. And she's one of the first people who was into health food, my mother. She stopped using sugar and a lot of the stuff that we weren't supposed to have early on.
What year was your mother born?
1908.
Okay, so mine was 1916. So it was the same planet, in other words.
Yeah, same planet.
But we didn't have a lot of sugar in the house. We never had desserts. Everything was in decent portions.
Well, we had sugar, but I'm saying as she got older and got into this, she was working and she read on it, and she was the first person I knew that spoke about health food.
My mother did too. She used to have a little dish of raw vegetables in the middle of the table, and she would say, "You have to eat that. That's your health." Long before anybody was using that phrase. But sugar, we didn't have. We liked it. I still love it.
Yeah, I love, and thank God I've gotten into dark chocolate instead of white chocolate.
Oh, I can't eat dark chocolate. I need to have it loaded sugar and animal fat. I need it to have cream and sugar.
Oh, and I used to love white chocolate, but it's so sweet. I don't even know how I liked it.
Well, good for you. That's better for you.
I really love a nice dark, rich chocolate.
Oh, you're lucky.
A lot of sugar. And I actually like desserts that aren't that sugary, but maybe rich.
Okay.
Like a whipped cream with strawberry, like Lady Jane's, Sweet Lady Jane's, berry cake with the whipped cream with the berries in it.
Well, I have a tip for things with whipped cream.
Yeah.
I discovered long ago that I would take just a couple of tablespoons of heavy cream for a treat. And people would say, "Oh, that's so fattening." And I would say, "Well, it's less fattening than having it on top of the ice cream."
You mean whipped with the sugar and the vanilla?
And when it's whipped, it's too much air.
Yeah.
So
you know what? Now that you're talking about it, I actually did write recipes, but I don't know where they are. And when I find them, I think they're in storage. I'm probably sure the pages are going to fall apart because I was a partner in a bakery, and we did catering. So
where?
In Los Angeles, and we had a bakery called the Butterfly Bakery in Westwood. And I learned, it was from my manager and his wife. We got into a secondary business because she was a great cook. They were Armenian, and I learned a lot of Armenian dishes. And matter of fact, one of the times when I played Las Vegas, I did a cooking show, and I made eggplant duzma on the cooking show. Ask me how to make it today. I don't have my recipe in front of me.
Well, if you ever find it,
rice pilaf and all that, chikufta, and there's some good dishes that I learned.
I want to thank you for sharing this part of your life with me.
Oh, well, thank you for asking, Janet.
You will be my pen pal forever until we can finally get together again.
Oh, I will miss seeing you. You've got to come back down, and I know David's moving back up by you.
I know. That's going to be sad for you. Well, you can't see him anyway.
Yeah, but I see him the most out of everybody right now. I see him the most. I see everybody else when I see them on Zoom.
Are you seeing anybody in person?
David.
Oh, so you do something
because he stays home and I stay home.
Right.
And neither one of us is like cavorting outside so much. We have our groceries delivered, when I only go out for necessity.
Oh, but so when you see each other, it's not in person, like at one of your front porches I carry.
Yeah, no, it is. We've walked.
Oh, okay. That's what
we've walked. I walk in the gutter. I give him the sidewalk because I feel like there's more separate. I can get away from people more.
Oh, we've all become gutter snipes. I know. So that's what I was asking. I carry 2 little tiny foldable stools in my car. So I can go to a friend and I just set up shop on the sidewalk.
Yeah, he's done more of that than me. It's like I haven't seen my nephew, except I did deliver him some chopped liver for the holiday. But that I didn't make, but this great restaurant. The next time you're here, you have to go with us to Akasha.
Okay.
Fabulous organic food. She used to cook for Michael Jackson. She cooked for my sister. And then a friend of mine, she's in Culver City. A friend of mine took me to, Rosie, you're going to love this food. This is several years ago. And when he pulled up, he said, akasha, could it possibly be akasha? And it was.
Well, okay.
So
It's
it's
a
fabulous
date for
restaurant.
whenever we can do it. I don't know
Yeah.
when that'll be, but thank you. I'm so glad that we've become friends in real
Me
life
too.
on the
Me
magic little machine here.
too.
So, if there's anything else you want to talk about and share,
I just hope that we can bring this country together in
you
love,
know,
in light, in hope, in faith, in charity, in empathy.
do you have a different feel now when you go out on this? I mean, I walked out on the street on, when it was announced that, and the skies were extra blue. People were,
People were in the streets pounding. I mean, I
there
was
was
jumping for joy.
there was an acrimony that was missing.
Yeah.
I hope it stays that way. I mean, I have a couple of,
Well, we just have, there's more people that we have to, and somebody said, I heard on the news the other day, which was hopeful, that one of the newscasters said that she was in the streets and she was talking to Trump, so a few Trump voters, and they said, they voted for Trump, but they said after listening to Joe's speech that night, that yes, they're tired of the chaos.
I'm going to
They are
cry.
tired.
Okay.
And maybe he'll bring us together. Maybe
Because I have a couple of friends who voted for Trump. We don't
Yeah.
talk about it. I don't
No.
ask them, and I don't want to hold it. But they weren't angry. They weren't. I hope there's a lot of this feeling like you vote one way, you vote another. One person tries, then somebody. Yeah.
The terrible thing is all of the chaos and the hatred and separation created. Why you would do that?
Because because they're frightened. That's why they do it.
But when one man instigates it.
But I'm saying when people are frightened.
Yeah.
Going to happen in their life.
And yeah, it's just, you come from love. We're all God's children. We're all children of the universe. We have the same blood. We may look different because we have different ancestry, but we're all God's children. And we have to come to grips with that. And nobody is less than the next person. You may be talented in different arenas. You may have not hit your mark yet, but you need to be given the opportunity to do so. Everybody deserves that chance. And everybody deserves to be respected and let to go their way, to be able to be successful and not denied the opportunity.
This is a perfect goodbye, darling. That is a perfect way to finish a conversation with that.
God love you. God love everybody in the world.
I
Bring us all together.
You're so good for the world. Okay, I'll talk to you later. And for now, Janet Gallen saying goodbye from Love Letters. And I'm going to send you a magic wand.
Oh, great.
They're very good.
Is that a quartz on the end? Is that a quartz?
No, it's a big diamond.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's a crystal for bringing.
Yeah, is it quartz crystal?
Yes. Do you want it in pink or blue?
Pink, honey. That's my color.
I didn't know that. Okay. Goodbye. Talk to you all later. Bye, darling.